The message was only 3 words long, but it was about to change Alex Carter's life forever. My boss is hot. Alex stared at the screen of his phone, his thumb still hovering over the send button even though the message had already gone through. The little gray delivered appeared like a gunshot in the quiet cafeteria. His breath caught somewhere between his lungs and his throat. For one delusional second, he convinced himself it was a glitch. Maybe the app froze. Maybe he could delete it before she opened it. He frantically tapped the unsend option. Nothing happened. Then the chat header refreshed, and her full name appeared at the top in bold letters. Emily Harper. Senior Operations Manager. Harper & Lane Marketing. His boss. The woman who signed his performance reviews. The woman who approved his leave requests. The woman who held the future of his daughter's stability in her hands, indirectly but undeniably. Alex's heartbeat became so loud he was sure the people at the next table could hear it. His palms turned slick with sweat. The half-eaten sandwich in his other hand suddenly felt like a brick. He whispered to himself, barely audible, "No. God, please no." He reopened the chat. The message sat there innocently, 3 little words that now felt like a confession typed in neon lights. And then the worst possible thing happened. 3 bouncing dots. Typing. Alex's stomach plummeted to somewhere near his shoes. He stared at those dots like they were a ticking bomb. They disappeared. Then reappeared. Disappeared again. Each cycle felt like a year. Finally, the message came through. Emily, we need to talk. 4 words. No emoji. No, haha. No wrong chat. Just cold, professional, terrifying clarity. Alex leaned back in the plastic cafeteria chair, feeling like the floor had vanished beneath him. This was how careers ended. This was how single fathers lost everything. 3 years earlier, life had looked completely different. Alex had been 29, married to Sarah for 4 years, and working as a junior accounts coordinator at a mid-sized logistics firm. They lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment on the east side of the city. They were saving for a down payment on a small house with a yard where Lily could play. Sarah wanted a dog. Alex wanted a garage where he could fix things. They were happy in that ordinary, hopeful way young couples are before life teaches them otherwise. Then came the Tuesday night that rewrote everything. Sarah had been complaining of headaches for weeks. She blamed stress, long hours at her teaching job, the new curriculum she was developing. Alex had pushed her to see a doctor. She promised she would, after the parent-teacher conferences ended. She never made it to the appointment. One evening she collapsed in the kitchen while making mac and cheese for Lily. Alex found her on the floor, unresponsive, the pot boiling over behind her. The ambulance came. The ER doctors tried everything. A rare aneurysm had burst. There was nothing anyone could have done differently, they said. It was fast. Mercifully fast for her. Agonizingly slow for everyone left behind. Lily was 2 years and 3 months old. She didn't understand why mommy wasn't waking up. She kept asking for mama milk, even though she had been weaned for months. Alex held her in the hospital corridor and cried silently into her soft brown hair while doctors explained terms like subarachnoid hemorrhage and no brain activity. The funeral was small. Sarah's parents had passed years earlier. Alex's family lived across the country and couldn't afford last-minute flights. A few co-workers came. Mike, his oldest friend, stood beside him the whole time, one hand on his shoulder. Afterward, life became a series of firsts Alex never wanted. First night alone with Lily. First time explaining death to a toddler using picture books about butterflies. First time paying bills with only one income. First time realizing grief isn't an event, it's a permanent roommate that sometimes sits quietly and sometimes screams at 3 a.m. Money turned into the enemy. Sarah's life insurance barely covered the hospital bills and funeral costs. The apartment rent increased by 8% the following year. Daycare fees rose twice in 18 months. Groceries became a math problem every week. Alex lost his logistics job during a company merger. Last in, first out, they said. He applied to over 90 positions. Only 3 interviews. One offer. Administrative assistant at Harper and Lane Marketing. $3,200 a month after taxes. Enough to survive. Barely. He learned to shop sales, clip coupons, make casseroles that lasted 4 days, repair Lily's shoes with duct tape when the soles wore through. He learned silence was cheaper than therapy. He learned that being strong for your child sometimes means crying in the shower so she doesn't hear you. Emily Harper entered his life quietly. She was 31 when Alex started, young for a senior operations manager, but already legendary in the office for turning around 3 failing client accounts in 18 months. People said she was brilliant but distant. Alex's first impression was different. She wore simple blazers, minimal makeup, hair always in a neat low bun. She walked with purpose but never rushed. When she spoke in meetings, everyone listened, not because she raised her voice, but because what she said always made sense. The first time they interacted directly was 3 months into his job. Alex had arrived at 9:12 instead of 9 o'clock. Lily had thrown up twice that morning, the daycare almost refused her. He'd spent 40 minutes cleaning, changing clothes, begging the provider to take her. He slipped into his cubicle hoping no one noticed. Emily noticed. She appeared at his desk at 10:15 with a cup of coffee she didn't offer, just placed it there. "Rough morning?" she asked quietly. Alex froze. Yes. My daughter was sick. Daycare almost. Emily nodded once. Family comes first. Just message me next time so I can reassign urgent items if needed. No lecture. No write-up. Just understanding. That small interaction planted the first seed of respect. Over time, admiration grew. He noticed how she defended junior staff in meetings when senior directors tried to overload them. He noticed how she stayed until 8 p.m. during crunch weeks but never complained. He noticed how she remembered that his daughter liked purple crayons and once left a small pack on his desk after a team-building event. He never allowed the admiration to become anything else. Because hope was dangerous. And survival required focus. The mistaken text arrived on an ordinary Thursday. Mike had been teasing him for months. Mike, still staring at your boss like she hung the moon. Alex, shut up. Mike, admit it. She's hot. Alex, she's competent. That's attractive enough. Mike, bro. You're hopeless. That day Mike sent. Mike, how's work? Still secretly in love. Alex laughed under his breath, typed fast while eating his peanut butter sandwich. Alex, man, my boss is so hot. He hit send. Then realized the chat window wasn't Mike's. It was Emily's, from 2 days earlier when she'd asked for the updated Q3 forecast spreadsheet. Panic arrived instantly and completely. The "we need to talk" message hung over the rest of his afternoon like smoke. He couldn't concentrate. Spreadsheets blurred. Emails went unanswered. Every time someone walked past his cubicle, he flinched. At 4:42 p.m., he considered faking illness and leaving early. At 4:57 p.m., the email arrived. Subject, meeting, my office, 5:15 p.m. From Emily Harper. No escape. He spent the next 18 minutes rehearsing apologies in his head. I'm so sorry, it was a stupid joke to a friend. It was autocorrect. I respect you professionally and would never. All of them sounded pathetic. At 5:14 he knocked. Come in. Emily's office smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and coffee. Late afternoon sun poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, turning everything golden. She sat behind her desk, tablet in hand, reading. She looked up. Alex stood stiffly near the door. I'm really, really sorry, he blurted. That message wasn't meant for you. It was to a friend. Stupid joke. I wasn't thinking. Emily raised a hand gently. He stopped. Silence stretched for 5 long seconds. Then she asked the question that derailed every script in his head. Was it true? Alex blinked. Sorry. The message. Her voice was calm, almost curious. Was it true? His face burned. I didn't mean, I respect you a lot, professionally, Anne. She smiled. Not the polite corporate smile. A real one, small, amused, warm. Relax, Alex. You're not getting fired. Relief crashed over him like cold water on a hot day. His knees almost buckled. I thought, he laughed shakily. I thought this was the end. It was definitely the most memorable message I've received this year, she said dryly. He rubbed the back of his neck. I'm mortified. You shouldn't be. She leaned back. Most people here are too afraid to be honest with me. It was refreshing. They shared a small, awkward laugh. The air in the room felt lighter. Then his phone rang. Daycare. Caller ID made his smile vanish. He answered immediately. Hello. The coordinator's voice was calm but urgent. Mr. Carter. Lily fell on the playground. She hit her head. There's a cut above her eyebrow. It's bleeding quite a bit. We think she needs stitches. Alex was already standing. I'm coming. Now. He hung up, face pale. Emily was already on her feet. What happened? Lily. Playground. Possible stitches. Go, Emily said instantly. Don't worry about anything here. But the quarterly report. Alex. Her voice was steel-wrapped in kindness. Go. He grabbed his bag and ran. The pediatric urgent care smelled of antiseptic and plastic toys. Lily sat on the exam table in a too-big paper gown, clutching her rabbit, Mr. Floppy. A small bandage covered her forehead, already spotted with red. When she saw Alex, her lip trembled. Daddy. He crossed the room in 2 strides and pulled her into his arms. I'm here, baby. I'm here. The doctor explained, 4-year-olds fall. Skull is tough. Cut was deep but clean. 2 stitches. Local anesthetic. She was brave. Lily cried quietly while the needle went in. Alex held her hand and whispered nonsense stories about rabbits who could fly. Afterward, she fell asleep against his chest in the waiting room while he filled out insurance forms. He stared at the ceiling tiles. What if he had been fired today? What if he couldn't pay this bill? What if stability was always one accident away from collapse? He closed his eyes and held Lily a little tighter. The next morning, Alex arrived at work exhausted. Dark circles. Coffee in hand. Same shirt as yesterday because laundry hadn't happened. On his desk sat a small white gift bag. Inside, a pack of colorful, cartoon-patterned bandages, princesses, dinosaurs, unicorns. A note in neat handwriting. For Lily. Hope she's feeling brave today. Emily. Alex stared at the note for nearly a minute. It wasn't grand. It wasn't expensive. But it saw him. It saw Lily. And in a life that often felt invisible, being seen mattered more than words could express. He tucked the note into his wallet. He would keep it there for years. Over the following months, small changes began to appear. Emily asked about Lily more often. How did the stitches heal? Did she like the bandages? Alex started answering honestly instead of with polite deflections. He worked harder, not out of fear, but because someone believed he could. He enrolled in an online business analytics course. Late nights. Headaches. But progress. He began sleeping 5 hours instead of 4. Hope, he discovered, was exhausting but worth it. Then came the school fee increase. The email arrived on a Wednesday evening. Tuition rising 18% next semester. Alex recalculated his budget 17 times. No matter how he rearranged numbers, red ink remained. He sat at the kitchen table until 2 a.m., staring. Lily wandered in at 2:17, rubbing her eyes. Daddy. Why are you crying? He wiped his face quickly. Just tired, sweetheart. She climbed onto his lap. He held her until she fell back asleep. The next day at work he looked like a ghost. Emily noticed. She appeared at his desk with 2 coffees. Walk with me. They ended up in the empty break room. He told her everything. The fees. The fear. The guilt that he couldn't provide better. She listened without interrupting. When he finished, she said simply, "You're not failing her. You're fighting for her. That's different. No promises. No easy answers. Just truth. And sometimes truth is enough to keep going." Then came restructuring. Rumors first. Then official announcement. Department consolidations. Headcount reductions. Alex's name appeared on the scheduling meetings with management list. Panic returned like an old enemy. He spent the night before the meeting awake, imagining explanations to Lily about moving to a smaller apartment, changing schools, leaving the city. The meeting room smelled of fresh whiteboard markers. Emily sat at the head. HR manager beside her. Alex sat opposite, hands clasped to hide the shaking. Emily spoke first. "Alex, before we go into the formal review, I want to say something on record." She looked straight at him. "In the time you've been here, you've consistently exceeded expectations. You've stepped into gaps no one else noticed. You've trained new hires. You've stayed late without complaint. And you've done all of this while raising a young child alone." HR shifted uncomfortably. Emily continued. "I've recommended, and it's been approved, a reclassification and promotion. Assistant Operations Coordinator. 15% salary increase. Flexible hours option. Eligibility for performance bonus." Alex stared. He couldn't speak. HR smiled politely. "Congratulations." After the meeting, in the hallway, Alex caught Emily. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Because you earned it." A pause. Then she added, softer, "And because watching you reminds me that success isn't just numbers. It's showing up every day for someone who depends on you." Life improved, slowly, realistically. Bills became payable. Lily stayed in her school. Alex bought her new shoes without checking the bank balance 5 times. He started smiling more. And the connection with Emily grew. Not in grand gestures. In small, honest moments. She shared that she had been engaged once, years ago. It ended because her career always came first. She regretted it sometimes. Not the career. The loneliness. He shared stories about Sarah. How she laughed at his terrible jokes. How she loved dancing in the kitchen. How Lily still looked for her in crowds. They talked about grief. About guilt. About second chances life sometimes offers, if you're brave enough to take them. The company family picnic arrived in late spring. Lily wore her favorite purple dress. She clung to Alex's leg at first. Then she saw Emily. Emily knelt down. "Hi, Lily. I'm Emily." Lily studied her seriously. "You know my daddy?" "I do. He's very good at his job." Lily whispered loudly, "You're pretty like a princess." Emily laughed, a real, unguarded laugh. Alex turned crimson. Lily decided Emily was safe. She spent the afternoon showing Emily her cartwheels, her rock collection, her favorite tree. Alex watched from a distance. Something warm and unfamiliar settled in his chest. Hope, maybe. Or the beginning of something more. Months later. Emily's promotion came. Executive Director of Operations, different division, different building. No direct reporting line. No conflict. One Thursday evening, Alex texted her. "Coffee. Lily's with Mike tonight." She replied within seconds. "I'd like that." They met at a small cafe near the park. They talked until closing. About childhood dreams. About fears. About what they both wanted next, not just for work, but for life. When they walked to their cars, the air was cool. Emily stopped. "You know the text message started all of this." Alex groaned. "Don't remind me." She smiled. "I'm glad you sent it to the wrong person." He looked at her, really looked. "Emily, it's still true." She stepped closer. "Good." Their first kiss was soft. Tentative. Honest. like everything else between them. A year later, Alex and Lily moved into a small house with a yard. Nothing fancy, but theirs. Emily spent weekends there. She helped Lily plant sunflowers. She cooked terrible pancakes that Lily loved anyway. She sat with Alex on the porch after bedtime, sharing quiet silences. Life wasn't perfect. Bills arrived. Lily got sick. Work stress returned in waves. But they faced it together. No longer alone. And sometimes, that was the biggest miracle of all. Because the most important changes in life rarely arrive wrapped in perfection. Sometimes they arrive wrapped in embarrassment. In mistakes. In 3 accidental words. And in the courage to say them again, on purpose, when the time is finally right. If this story reminded you that small, messy moments can lead to beautiful futures, give it a like, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more stories about ordinary people finding extraordinary second chances. Because sometimes, the wrong text becomes the right beginning.